Well, hey guys, so as I promised this week I'm going to be talking about plant oils and skincare. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Andrea. I'm a dermatologist and I film day in the life kind of fun vlogs as well as skincare content here on my YouTube channel. So if that type of content is of interest to you, I suggest you stick around. But today I'm going to be talking about a topic that you guys ask me a lot about, and that is the use of natural oils and plant oils in skincare. Should we be using plant oils? What types of oils are good? Does the composition of the oil matter based on mimicking overall biology of the skin oils themselves? So that's what I'm going to get into today. Plant oils have many bioactive compounds and constituents that can play a potential role in our skin health, both in our skin biology as well as helping to restore the skin barrier, preventing dry skin and flares of itchy, irritated skin. They also contain antioxidants, which when applied to the skin can potentially help scavenge free radicals that lead to damage of the skin and photoaging. Such free radicals are frequently generated when we go outside and are exposed to ultraviolet light. They're also generated as a result of pollutants that come in contact with the skin. So theoretically, antioxidants present naturally in plant oils could help to scavenge some of those. Also, many of the biomolecules within plant oils are of interest in that they have potential roles in wound healing and in healing cuts and surgical wounds. So they have been studied a lot in that capacity, with some other smaller studies looking at various types of plant oils in kind of anti-aging effects, free radical scavenging effects, and UV protection effects, as well as repair of the skin barrier. And so many people ask me, how to use oils in skincare. Are they good moisturizers? Well, unfortunately, plant oils, for the most part, have long fluid tails, and I think it's a misconception that they're actually moisturizing. Really what they can do is just lightly coat the very top layer of our skin and soften our skin cells. They can function as an emollient. So it's not surprising that application of a plant-derived oil to the face can kind of result in a brightening effect and just kind of feeling as though the skin is more supple, a lot softer. But in reality, the truth of the matter is plant oils and oils on their own are not fantastic moisturizers because they're unable to penetrate the skin barrier very deeply, and they're unable to form an occlusive barrier. Forming an occlusive barrier on the top layer of the skin is by definition one of the most important components of a moisturizer, because really what we're doing when we're trying to moisturize our skin is we're trying to prevent something called transepidermal water loss. That's essentially just evaporation of water out of our skin. That happens after we bathe and remove some of our natural oils from the surface of our skin. It happens after we use a harsh exfoliant, wash the face, and just happens as part of our normal day-to-day routine, okay? Consistent use of a semi-occlusive moisturizer to the face combats that and helps to restore the skin barrier more expeditiously and promotes overall skin health. So while plant oils are good as far as emollients and softening the skin, when applied solely by themselves outside of a moisturizer, they're really not moisturizing your skin at all, and they're really not doing enough work to prevent transepidermal water loss. And when I say plant oils, okay, plant oils can be classified as fixed oils or essential oils. And for the purposes of this video, I'm only going to be talking about fixed oils. Essential oils are those that are volatile at room temperature, meaning the ones that, put off a fragrance and can be aromatized, all right, and are employed in aromatherapy and a lot of fragrance. There are different ways to obtain plant oils, but probably the best way to obtain them, or the best way they are obtained in order to preserve these active biomolecules, is by cold pressing, because no heat or high temperatures are employed. And plant oils vary quite a bit in terms of their overall structure as far as their triglyceride and free fatty acid content. So some oils have straight chain fatty acids or saturated fatty acids, whereas others have unsaturated fatty acids, and those with unsaturated fatty acids have more kinks in their tails. we know that linoleic acid, which is an unsaturated fatty acid, can really help in restoring the skin barrier and preventing transepidermal water loss. In contrast, however, another unsaturated fatty acid, oleic acid, can actually really disrupt the skin barrier and worsen transepidermal water loss and cause a lot of skin problems. So the linoleic to oleic acid ratios are definitely important, with oils that contain more linoleic that can be restorative being beneficial over oleic acid. But also there are some, like I said, bioactive molecules within oils like triterpenes and polyphenolic compounds. These are what can potentially scavenge free radical activity, help delay DNA damage responses, and protect the skin from ultraviolet light a little bit, subsequently promoting wound healing, skin barrier repair, and combating the effects of aging. Olive oil is derived from the fruit of the Olea Europa tree, okay? And it actually is an oil that has a very high content of oleic acid. And while it's been popular for many years as like a moisturizer for like baby skin, for example, we now know that it's actually not a very good moisturizer at all and not a very good oil to be using on the skin because of its high oleic acid content. And it's really been demonstrated in several small studies that application of olive oil to the skin actually worsens the skin barrier. So it's really not a good one, okay? It's a shame because olive oil has a lot of antioxidants and polyphenols, bioactive molecules that could potentially be helpful for skin, but by virtue of its high oleic acid content, it's really not good applied to the skin. Sunflower seed oil, however, comes from a plant. Here, I wrote it down here because I can't remember all these plant names. Helianthus annuus. And the components of sunflower oil are both oleic and linoleic acid. However, the linoleic acid abundance is much greater than the oleic. And sunflower seed oil has actually been shown to be helpful within a moisturizer at kind of helping the skin barrier restore itself a little bit. And in small mouse models, we know that sunflower seed oil applied to the skin can demonstrate a chemopreventative effect against the damages of ultraviolet light. So it can potentially have some properties that may make it protective against skin cancers. But I say that as may and very cautiously because be aware that these are very tiny animal-based studies. And so you really can't generalize that to human health at all, okay? But cosmetic companies will take that small little grain of progress and just run with it, okay? So be aware of that. You know, there is a little bit of data for it in that regard. But for the most part, it seems to be a relatively well-tolerated oil as far as being included in moisturizers. It's not known if it clogs pores or causes any problems with pores, but it's unlikely. It seems unlikely. The next oil that I'll talk about is grapeseed oil. I've talked a little bit about this in a prior skincare product review. I reviewed the Caudalie Venetia for you guys a long time ago. Is that grapeseed oil derived from Vitis vinifera is, within the skins of grapes and is really, really rich in these phenolic compounds, both as well as free fatty acids and vitamins. And there are a fair number of studies with grapeseed oil showing that, in animal studies, at least in small animal studies, showing improvement in wound healing as well as skin barrier restoration and also having free radical scavenging capacity potentially, but that's really only been shown in small laboratory studies, not on actual human skin. And I tell you guys that, and I really want you to think about it because a lot of things are promoted as antioxidants in topical skincare, but what we know overwhelmingly so is that most biomolecules, when just applied to the skin, they're not able to penetrate the skin adequately, and their stability is such that they really don't ever have a chance to function very well as antioxidants, okay? So it's kind of a cool thing to think about and to be hopeful for, but rationally speaking, and based on the data that we know from skincare products claiming to contain antioxidants, they're just really largely, it's really largely difficult to assure their efficacy. Coconut oil is another vegetable plant-derived oil that is really popular, and people ask me, like, is it a good moisturizer? Coconut oil contains about 6% oleic acid and something like 3% linoleic acid, so its overall fatty acid mix isn't really fantastic. It has a few other fatty acids like capric acid that together can also potentially be helpful in restoring the skin barrier. There is some suggestion that application of coconut oil to the skin can kind of help restore the skin barrier and prevent transepidermal water loss, similar to mineral oil. And most moisturizers and most skincare products contain a lot of derivatives from coconut oil. And so, it is employed in skincare, but whether or not it applied to the skin alone is very good as a moisturizer, it really isn't, because of reasons that I've said. It's just not very occlusive in comparison to, just a plain moisturizer that you would buy in the store. It is pretty good at taking the makeup off in a double cleanse mechanism, so I like it in that way. But, it can be irritating if left on the skin. And so, it's not fantastic, but it does have a little bit more potential than, say, olive oil. So there's that. But, again, it's not great on its own. Safflower seed oil comes from the seeds of the plant Carthamus tinctorius. But safflower seed oil contains a large amount of linoleic acid, the unsaturated fatty acid that is, most helpful in restoring our skin barrier. It contains about 70% of that. So as far as an oil to be included in a moisturizer, safflower seed oil is probably one of the better ones. And safflower seed oil also contains a lot of other active biomolecules that have anti-inflammatory properties, can help promote wound healing, and can help combat irritation, dryness, and all of those inflammatory changes that can promote skin aging, as well as skin barrier repair. So it is a good oil to include in moisturizers. Argan oil is one that I've tried myself in terms of the double cleanse method. I get a lot of questions about it. It is derived from the kernel of Argania spinosa. And traditionally it's been used in cooking, and a lot of the medical literature surrounding argan oil really focuses on consumption of it rather than application of it to the skin. However, it's really popular in a lot of skincare products, and a lot of people enjoy it. Like most plant oils, it is a very nice skin emollient in softening the edges of the skin cells. When applied to the hair and coating the hair, it can potentially help cut down on hair breakage, but it doesn't have any established or known hair growth promoting effects. But it can, any oil on the hair shafts can, help prevent them from breaking. So, it can help with people who heat style their hair to cut down on that. However, do know that oils left in the hair and on the scalp can worsen problems like dandruff. So it's kind of a balance. So my suggestion would be, if you're going to use an argan oil in your hair, to just focus it on the tips of your hair strands and not on the hair scalp itself. Avocado oil is sometimes of interest in the comments section. In a small animal model, it was shown to help promote wound healing and increase collagen production. So theoretically could potentially help as an ingredient in skincare products. Borage oil is an oil that has a lot of omega fatty acids within it, omega-6 fatty acids. And it actually has been shown when applied to the back of test subjects, humans, to really be helpful in slowing water loss. And so it is helpful as an ingredient in a moisturizer. Jojoba oil, I think, however, is one of the most well-studied skin oils, plant oils for skincare, and that it does seem to have a more robust track record in being included as a moisturizing ingredient in moisturizers aimed at dry skin, atopic dermatitis, and promoting restorative skin healing, skin barrier repair. Sweet almond oil is another oil that, when included in moisturizing creams, has been shown actually to help the itch associated with dry skin in some small human-based studies. But people with nut allergies, almond oil could be a problem. I think rosehip oil is one of the most popular ones, and rosehip oil does have a pretty high percentage of linoleic acid. It has about 35 to 53%, and it's really rich in antioxidants as well. So I think rosehip oil is really promising as an oil and moisturizing ingredients that could potentially promote an anti-aging effect, and why most people are enthused about pursuing it. Some of the biomolecules, however, in rosehip oil are kind of very, very structurally similar to a lot of the molecules that are used in both synthetic and natural fragrances, which are common causes of problems in skincare products. Many people can develop an allergy to them. So there is potential with really any plant oil for some of the compounds to be allergenic, okay? Shea butter is derived from the kernels of, let's see, what's this plant called? Shea tree, Vitellaria paradoxa, okay? And it's composed of triglycerides, oleic acid, and linoleic acid. And we have actually quite a bit of research in people with eczema or atopic dermatitis using moisturizers that contain shea butter, and it's very well tolerated and a very good moisturizing oil ingredient in moisturizers. So shea butter based moisturizers are fantastic. They seem to be actually well tolerated in facial moisturizers for people with seborrheic dermatitis, which is a skin condition that can sometimes be exacerbated by exogenous application of oils to the skin. Shea butter and shea butter-based moisturizers seem to be okay. In fact, it's an ingredient in a seborrheic dermatitis specific moisturizing cream that you can get sometimes through a prescription called Promiceb. So shea butter is actually a pretty good oil to be included in a moisturizer, okay? So I'm going to summarize all of these, all of the good oils, the ones that are okay in moisturizers, those that you probably want to avoid. But I will leave you with some take-home points and principles that are important for you to understand, okay? Plant oils and natural oils are not pure substances, okay? They are comprised of a spectrum of molecules, compounds, and there is no way to regulate that in any manner. There's tremendous amount of variability, and the variability stems from the fact that depending on the species of plant, depending on the geographic region, how it was pollinated, all of these things can influence the composition of the oils. How the oil was extracted, I said cold press is best in that it preserves the biomolecules. I mean, there's just so much variability in how oils are processed that certain oils or certain batches of oils can have more of a problematic ingredient than others, and there's just really no way to know that for sure, okay? So don't be fooled into thinking that a natural oil is somehow safer. It really isn't. The other thing that I will caution you against is that oils contain compounds, and oils degrade, okay? Especially when exposed to light. They have these compounds that can degrade, and as those compounds degrade, they become highly irritating, and their potential for acting as allergens is quite high. Additionally, they can predispose you to developing rashes related to sun exposure that can damage the skin. So, proceed cautiously with doing your own skincare and using plant oils just, on your own, outside of just cosmetic moisturizers where there's a little bit more oversight into the manufacturing in a cosmetic moisturizing cream. And then the other kind of oil-related question and concern that I get a fair amount about is, I've mentioned on here before that there are skin conditions that are worsened by the application of oil. Seborrheic dermatitis or dandruff on the scalp, seborrheic dermatitis on the face, which is the scaly red patches. That can be worsened by putting oils on the face. Fungal acne can be worsened by it. Rosacea certainly can be worsened by it, as worsened by plant oils as well. Okay, so putting plant oils on the skin and leaving them on there are really just kind of can open you up to potential problems. Not great moisturizers. Certain skin conditions are worsened by them. You know, they're not stable on their own. However, the way I use plant oils in my skincare routine is to use an oil-based cleanser to remove my mascara and sunscreen, and then I wash it off with a gentle non-soap cleanser. I'll list the two that I use down below. The oil, I use the Hada Labo cleansing oil, and then currently I'm using the Neutrogena hydrating cleanser, the creamy formula to remove the oil. In the past, I've used the Hada Labo foaming cleanser to remove it. So that's how I think oils function really well in skincare. Or I think they function really well when they are included in moisturizing creams that you just buy in the store. And you know, you have one cream that goes on and you're done. And there's a lot more oversight into the manufacturing and the stability of the oil within the moisturizer itself, versus just buying an oil and putting it on your face. But anyways, guys, I hope that this information was helpful to you and kind of overviewing plant oils and skincare and what to look for, what to be cognizant of. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.